forward. So we've been doing this One Planet platform now for a couple of years, and we have the city involved as well. So they're kind of the anchor along with the Bureau. We'll get the chamber, Southeast Pollution Chamber in there, and we're developing an ecosystem. You can see here the current partners that have already passed through our Spring Hill Suites, Third Wave, Marine Discovery Center, and our Bureau has a plan as well. We're in the process of working with the City of New Smyrna Beach, Norwoods, Yapong Tea Company, which Brian was supposed to be on, so maybe he'll join us later, is very interested. We've got Cindy from Abundant Day Spa interested, and Country Inn and Suites, and the Hampton Inn. So the beauty of this is now we'll have anywhere from 11 to 12 partners in there. Our goal is to try to get 24 by the end of the year, because this program will start going out throughout Florida. So we wanted to kind of go out with a big bang and have New Smyrna Beach. We are officially the first city in Florida and in the US, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, that is on the platform. Is that correct? The nearest city is in Vancouver, correct?
Yeah, it's the first city to be using the One Planet Living for across the city, and certainly the first using it in this way, in such a reaching out to so many partners and getting them involved. So yeah, that's great. Excellent,
excellent. So there'll be a lot of press out of that. Just as a little, so this is one of the programs that we have, the Tourism Touches You. It protects the things that everybody loves, the residents, the visitor alike, and so we need to do a better job of getting people to understand that just because the restaurant, the hotel, the attractions are busy, you know, that we are protecting the assets. I had a really good conversation with the mayor on that yesterday. So this is a program that you'll see more of, that we're going to be pushing out kind of like a PSA, and also as an active program. And the next slide, Roberto. And then I think I'm going to, yep. And here's Ben, and I'm going to turn it over to Ben, and then we can fill in the gaps later. But I know in the essence of time. So Ben, it's all yours.
You're muted.
I muted myself. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, well, thanks for letting me join today, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all about One Planet Living. Roberto, well, just to give background to myself, I've been working with Bioregional and with One Planet Living for about 10 years, more than that, close to 15, on developing the framework as a tool that we can make as widely available as possible, and then working with some of our partners that have been using the framework for over 10 years. So and we'll draw on some of those examples now. Roberto, I've probably got more slides than we have time for, so I might ask you just to skip through a few of them, and I'm happy to cover some later, or we'll share these with you, and if you have questions, happy to respond to those. So if you can keep going. So on the next slide, Roberto. That not? Oh, keep going. So yeah, just so what is One Planet Living? It's three. When being as simple as possible, we use it in three ways. So one, it's a global vision, so a vision of the world where everyone enjoys happy, healthy lives within the limits of the planet, while leaving space for nature and wildlife. It's a sustainability framework. So there's 10 principles, which we'll go through. And then in the experience we've got in using it, we've developed a recommended process to follow in using the principles to get the most out of the platform. And I'll cover that a little bit and show how we're using it in New Smyrna Beach. And on the next slide, really just to show that I'm sure you're all very familiar with the concept of sustainability, where there's three pillars of sustainability: the economy, society, and the biosphere. And in that sort of traditional view, they're often all given like equal weighting. And yet, if we remove the biosphere, then there is no society, there is no economy. And if we remove society, there is no economy. So we prefer a nested view of sustainability, that the economy sits within society and society sits within the biosphere. It is wholly reliant on the biosphere. So that's the kind of perspective we're coming from. On the next slide. I'll get them on the side and I can keep going. So the first project we were involved in using the principles, Roberto, on the next slide, if you and just scroll through a few of these, it is a development in South London called Bedzed, which was the first designed to be zero carbon development in the UK. So this is a picture of what the development looks like, and Bioregional actually acted as the property developers for this development. So we brought it forward. And on the next slide, you can see some of the key strategies we embedded: a zero carbon energy strategy, sustainable materials, reuse of water. But one of the key parts was looking at how we can create a great place to live, and how we can make it an easy place to live the right way, to make the right choices, and hard to make the wrong choices, as we saw it. And the next slide shows that the savings. So it was very successful in many ways. It really helped reduce energy use, gas use, water use, and also for people to travel less. But really the biggest success in many ways is shown on the next slide, is that we created a place with a great sense of neighborliness. So we didn't set out to sort of create an eco-village as we saw it, but what we found was that if you lead a sustainable life, you're actually leading a happier and healthier life, and you have a greater sense of neighborliness. So people at Bedzed know something like 4 times more of their neighbors by name than the average person in the UK. So within the neighborhood, people are much know their neighbors much better. I think 7 out of 10 report they're much happier living there than where they lived before. So we can see that actually, if we build a development where people can live sustainably, they'll actually be happier as well. And then when we're trying to measure, were we successful at Bedzed, on the next slide, we can see how far we got. So we needed to use a metric for, are we living at the One Planet lifestyle? And we used a tool called Ecological Footprint, which is a little like carbon footprint. It looks at where your resources are being used. And we found what the analysis shows, that is actually we're using as much of the Earth's resources in the food we eat as in heating and the energy for our homes. And also for the goods that we use is equivalent to transport. So when we think about sustainability, we need to think of all of these issues. What we found at Bedzed was that while the average person, you can live a sustainable lifestyle at Bedzed, you have to never leave Bedzed. So the only way of leading a truly One Planet living is if you live there and stay there, because as soon as you leave Bedzed, you're moving out into the 3-planet world. So we wanted to look at how we can spread that experience into the wider community. And that's how we developed the One Planet Living framework, which is on the next slide, which was kind of taking that concept of environmental limits and the 3 aspects of sustainability, but putting a bit more on detail on that. So we have 10 principles, which we see is very easy to understand. So we can still communicate those to guests and residents. But they're actually very robust and cover all key sustainability principles. So we actually recently turned the principles around. So we used to start with zero carbon energy and zero waste. And then because we work a lot with architects and technical engineers, but actually find when we're talking to visitors, guests, residents, what they're interested in are health and happiness, the local economy, culture and community. And so we've inverted the principles to put those at the top, as that's what people resonate with most strongly. But all of these principles need to be addressed in our experience in creating a sort of truly sustainable community. And the process we developed on the next slide really outline how we encourage people to use the principles. So get buy-in, so get support from the top, and you know, hopefully Debbie's managed to persuade you to participate already, or consider participating. So that's a great start. And then to create and publish an action plan, and that's where we've developed the platform to help with that. And then when you implement the plan and monitor and report on that progress. So we want people to monitor to learn what they're doing, but from the reporting, it's looking at how can you learn from that. And then you actually update your action plan. And for projects that want to be recognized as leaders, Bioregional offers a process of peer review, so we can review your action plan, and those that we believe show real leadership, we recognize as leaders. Maybe we'll skip through the next slide, which just shows that we can use the framework with other frameworks as well. So we use One Planet Living with the Sustainable Development Goals, or with LEED and green building certifications. But actually what we're aiming to do is create a network of projects around the world that are using the framework, which the next slide shows here. So that because we found a lot of people, when we would talk about Bedzed, they would say that it's really interesting and useful, but it wasn't possible in Florida for whatever reason, because it's much hotter in Florida, or there's not the transport infrastructure, or it's not possible in Australia for this reason. And what we're trying to do is show that you can deliver One Planet Living in any context, but you need to use the framework and the principles and adapt that to your own local context. And just to give a couple of examples of these, so on the next slide, there's a resort in Paris. It's a partnership between Euro, Disney, and Pierre Vacances Center Parks, and they use One Planet Living from the outset, and used it really as the basis for the design. So they tapped into the aquifer to get heat for the whole swimming pool, and actually they export heat to the Disney park adjacent to the site. The entire construction is built mostly in timber. They've embedded sustainability within the guest experience. So a lot of the activities relate to nature and to the environment. You can access the site by public transport. And so their aim is that all of the guests who visit the site actually learn about sustainability while they're there on their holiday. And Roberta, if you just sort of click through the next few, just to say we've been using the framework with schools. So there's a program coming out of California in schools. We have an initiative around cities that we're working on. Particularly, we've been working with 4 cities on using the framework, and yeah, New Smyrna is kind of joining into that process, and actually in some ways leading in the way it's reaching out to the key stakeholders within the city. So to just kind of summarize what the One Planet Living framework is, on the next slide, is we're trying to encourage people to respond to connections, to not look at their project in isolation. And that's really what we're doing at New Smyrna, is trying to get that central initiative coming from from the city, from the Chamber of Commerce, from the Tourist Board, and actually to connect all of the businesses into some central initiative. But to inspire change through a hearts and minds approach. So we know that many people have made decisions up, that they have a decision made, and that we don't listen necessarily to rational information and then make a decision. A lot of it is based on emotion. So we know that we need to inspire change by actually showing the benefits of sustainability, and make people want to join in efforts to be more sustainable. We use goals and guidance, not prescriptive standards. So we're not telling people what they have to achieve. We're giving targets which we think they should aim for, and guidance for how to get there. And we encourage people to focus on the outcomes and their performance, not just the things the actions they want to deliver. So as I mentioned, we can recognize leadership. That's really in our mind, for organizations that are trying to drive change within the system, to make their city work differently, make their business network work differently. And then we work with other frameworks and certification systems as required. Are there any kind of questions on that kind of background to One Planet Living? Because if not, I'll carry on, just show how we're using the platform. I wonder if actually, well, I've got some slides on it. Would it be easier just to show a short video, Roberto? Do you have that link? Is that available? Or if not, I can give the presentation.
Let's see if it runs well. I'm not sure. So let's
gives me a chance to catch.
Give it a try.
Well.
My name is Puran Desai. I'm speaking to you from the Bedzed Eco Village in South London. I put together this zero carbon development over 20 years ago now. It led me to create the concept of One Planet Living and a framework which has now been used around the world. It was used, for example, for the London Olympics and was an inspiration for the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are now consuming resources twice as fast as the planet can sustain. So we have to rapidly move to a future where we can lead happy, healthy lives within the resources we can renewably harvest from our one planet, at the same time as leaving space for wilderness and wildlife. To help accelerate the uptake of the One Planet concept, we have now built a digital platform. Pioneering projects around the world are starting to use this platform. One of those is the Karangani project. Karangani is a landscape-scale conservation and sustainable development project in Mozambique. Visionary conservationists, investors, donors, and neighboring communities have come together in a partnership to rehabilitate and conserve one of Africa's last wilderness areas. The 10 One Planet Living principles were used alongside Karangani's own set of goals to create a world-class strategic plan. The project is complex. One Planet has been helping resolve this complexity and build a common understanding between stakeholders. The overall plan is displayed in a simple mind map structure. This comprises outcomes, what the project aims to achieve, actions to achieve them, and indicators to track progress. Plans of different departments and stakeholders have been connected to create an ecosystem where everyone can collaborate on shared outcomes. This provides clarity. It also allows priorities and budgets to be aligned. This plan can be viewed through what we call lenses. This allows Karangani to communicate and report the same information to different audiences in a way they can understand. One Planet Living for the general public, Karangani's own primary attributes for experts, and the UN Sustainable Development Goals used by the local government in Masingir district. It is reducing reporting time by 50%. Reports can be generated at the click of a button, freeing staff to work on delivering impact. Progress can be tracked through indicators and linked to data collection systems. Accessing data easily and in real time greatly improves the ability of the management team to plan in a continuous and agile fashion. Karangani is using data to value social and natural capital. It's increasing balance sheet value and helping comply with US charitable foundation tax regulations. We aim to extend this mechanism for wider uptake and create a new convention for the industry. It's projects like Karangani which are creating the future we can all aspire to. Using the One Planet digital platform, it's also creating a model that can be scalable. All assets in future must be Planet Fit assets.
Thanks, Roberto. It was a little sticky for me, but I think that it worked worked quite well. So the One Planet platform is it's a digital platform that we're using to make it easier for people to develop action plans. If you skip through a few slides, and as so that was it, what we're trying to do is enable people to plan better, making budgeting decisions, prioritize and budget to have the biggest sustainability impact or the biggest impact, but also to collaborate, to stop people working in silos and make it easier for people to work together. And then to make reporting and communication as simple as possible. And actually, for us, part of this is storytelling. It's not just about generating a report. It's about getting regular information coming out of a project. The first stage is mapping your outcomes. So what is it that you want to achieve, and how are you going to achieve that, and identifying where there are gaps and potential conflicts, and looking at how you can get the greatest sustainability returns from the project. And then the next step, once you know what you're aiming to achieve, is to develop your actions and your indicators. How are you going to achieve those outcomes? So having led with what you want to achieve, look at how you're going to achieve those, and to put in place indicators to track those, to track performance of achieving the outcomes, and to track the progress in implementing your actions. And one of the really key features, as mentioned in the videos, is the ability to connect and track stakeholders. So, for example, we can get contractors to link into the same sustainability requirements. Suppliers can highlight their sustainability credentials, but also we can start working with community groups that can also develop their action plans and get involved in the process. And we can also actually manage and monitor all of the data on the platform. So we can pull in data from multiple sources and then demonstrate that on the platform, and use that then to communicate to our stakeholders. So in the case of New Smyrna, can we start gathering data on how many people are participating and then communicate that? And all of this information can be tracked on a single dashboard. So you know, in this case, Debbie, but anyone in the city can see everything that's happening against all of the indicators. And then a key report, I mean, we put that you can create reports automatically. I think for us, it's less about generating reports, more about getting information out regularly. So we can start telling stories to people about how we're implementing sustainability and the success we're having there. And we see that the case studies that we're seeing in using the platform is the amount of time it's saving people in meeting reporting requirements. I mean, the project we mentioned there, they have to report to the IRS for tax reasons, and it's helping to reduce that reporting requirement by about 50% in terms of the amount of time it takes. But I think it's also really helping to increase the impact of the reporting. So where we're working with in cities, they're able to communicate much more effectively with residents based on the information that they've got. It's much more visual and much easier to resonate with them. So the platform, what I'm gonna hopefully do is just demonstrate what we've done at New Smyrna live in a second. But I'll just show how we're using it, and then come to the live platform. Roberto, I don't know if I'll be able to share my screen. No, just as a sort of warning, if you can allow me to share my screen. But the way we're using the platform at the moment at New Smyrna is, so we've created a central vision, and we use that for strategic. Is that we up and running? No, there's to share so that I can share my screen, Roberta. I'm now the host. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, but the aim is to use the platform really to drive a sustainable response to the current crisis that we know we're all facing. And what we want to do is use sustainability to drive strategic planning, data management, and to allow stakeholders and collaborators to work together. So if I will just share my screen now. Right, can you all see my screen? So what we've done is, this is the dashboard that we've set up with the ecosystem plan here, the shared outcomes and the stakeholders. So if we look at the stakeholders, we can see that there's a central vision in the middle, and all of these organizations have plans, or hopefully will have plans that are connected to that vision. And if we click on any of these organizations, the Marine Discovery Center, we can then view their plan here. They've actually published theirs and made it available on the website. And what we've done is create a really simple plan. So against each of the 10 principles, there's 1 or 2 outcomes of what we want to achieve, and a single indicator. And then all of the organizations that are part of the program and want to use the platform can adopt the outcomes and the indicators and start reporting the same information. We can use, as mentioned, we can use both the One Planet Living principles or the Sustainable Development Goals. So if people want to communicate, particularly in the tourism sector, with the UN initiatives are very interested in the Sustainable Development Goals. So we can use those goals at the same time. Then in terms of monitoring and reporting, so there's we can use this to show and replicate and highlight data. So we can add some data here, performance data and progress updates. But also, I just put we've now got stories that can be added here, and these stories can be published directly to the website. So we can envisage how, as each project has new stories, this would come out, say, onto a new Smyrna website with all of the new initiatives that are happening in terms of delivering sustainability across the projects. Okay, and then so hopefully Debbie is going to be able to help people to set up their action plans. And sorry, so here is a plan we started making for Yapon Tea. And what they're able to really simply do is to connect to that same New Smyrna Beach City vision, and all of the outcomes that are relevant to them, or they can import directly into their action plan. So if they're aiming to have zero waste to landfill, to increase sustainable transport, then they're able to put that directly into their plan, connect that into the plan, and then add in their own actions of what they want to achieve. And centrally, all of that information will be available. So anyone participating in the program will be able to see what Yapon Tea is doing, what the other hotels are doing, and to learn from that. So it's a great opportunity for us to be able to learn and encourage people to get a friendly competition between organizations to be going further. And then in terms of your creating reports, so there's, as mentioned, we have a mind map view, there's a table view here. which is easier for entering information and for connecting to sources. And then we can then create a document view as well. So if we need to create reports, these can be automatically printed out here, either using the Sustainable Development Goals or using One Planet Living. So it's a really simple way of creating regular reports on what's on what you've been achieving. Are there any questions on that and the platform and how it's used? So how we envisage it working is Debbie can create an account for you. She can then help. So normally we would run a workshop to gather information and upload that information into the platform. Obviously in the current situation, workshops can be quite challenging, but you know, these can be done online, and to upload that information onto the platform, gather the outcomes that you want to commit to, input your own actions of what you think you're already doing and what you would like to do more of, and then that can be published on the platform, and join the initiative to show more of what is happening in New Smyrna Beach and how many organizations are participating in that.
It's not really that hard to do. And what we can do after this call is that we can either do some individual Zoom calls and kind of talk through what some of the outcomes, you know, they're all 10 sustainable development goals, and then you just make your actions and indicators out of it. So, you know, we can give you some ideas, and you might have some ideas how you want to reduce the plastic in your hotel or the restaurant. Jamie, I know you're already doing a lot of great things at Norwood, so I kind of don't think you're going to have a problem. Donna and Ed, you're I think you're rated like a 3 Palm in the Green Lodging. So you're already doing a lot of things that will come over to this. So it's really not going to be that hard. And I know the chart looks, sometimes when you see charts, you're like, oh my gosh, but everything is right there to the left navigation, and you literally click on it and then connect, you know, and so it's really pretty, they've really done a great job making this a very user-friendly software to use. I did send out an email link to everyone yesterday. If you got that link, it'll bring you back to your account that I set up on the One Planet platform. And then, you know, you'll see this when you click open, view the plan, and see how he's just clicking link, and then he links the two together. So, I mean, it's really not that hard. I can show you, and if you got some time, you can think about what your initiatives would be. You know, your outcomes, actions, what you want to do. In our office, I know we changed our light bulbs to LEDs. We've, you know, reduced the number of printers in house. We've reduced the number of paper we've bought. You know, there's water consumption. I mean, everything. So, yeah, you can pull that up.
I'll show yours. Yeah, and I think one of the ways we see this can help is that we could create. I mean, we don't want to create templates so that no one has to do anything. It's important that people think about their project and what they're doing. But we can, for hotels, create a template plan that, you know, has many of the actions that a hotel's likely to need to look at. Mm-hmm. And then when they join, they can be set up immediately with that plan, which just helps, instead of arriving with a blank piece of paper, which, you know, is overwhelming for people. It's like, okay, here are the things you can do or maybe already doing, as right. well as these outcomes that the city you know, that is aiming to achieve.
Right, and like some of the things we had, like with bids, you know, we're going to try to go local when we can, but go regional, you know, in the second. And then if we can't go regional, go statewide. If we can't do statewide, then we can go out of state. But, you know, you can just set these like baby simple steps up that it's an easy win for the team, and you keep growing this. And this is a very dynamic plan. So it's meant to kind of, you know, grow with you and as things change. So Yeah, so you can see over there, he's got zero waste and principles. I need to go in and personally update, our paper purchasing, because that has gone down dramatically. Our electric and our water consumption's gone down dramatically. So I'll go in.
I mean, and then I'll stop because I want to get your views. But I mean, I think that for us, the really exciting part is around getting these the stories out, because if my trip to New Smyrna, visiting the restaurants and seeing what they're doing in terms of their linking to sustainable seafood, some of the hotels and the initiatives they're involved in terms of reducing plastic, and there's a lot happening. And if we can get those stories coming out regularly, I think it would really help build momentum in the city more widely, that other people can get involved and actually stop it feeling like there's lots of small initiatives happening to actually there's one big initiative happening with lots of regular progress. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, I'd love to get any questions or feedback from yourselves.
Donna, Ed, Jamie, do you have any questions on anything? Does it look like something? I think even if you put down on paper first some things, whatever, we could do it a whole bunch of different ways. Any thoughts on this?
Jamie here, and thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Mr. Jill. I think right now it's that we're stuck on the buy-in, and until we get past that hurdle, everything else is just next stage, if you will. So the pandemic, the restaurants opening and closing has put everybody quite stressed, and it's a very low priority right now. It's more of a survival mode. And so until I can get the buy-in, in my mind, there's little I can do.
Right. I know the other day you said Don was in, and
I know. And then they had 3 emergencies, and
yeah, I know. And that's what, like, Ben and I, we're trying to be here to help as well, to try to make it so that we can take these baby steps. And by all means, we're not trying to pressure anybody into this, but we're here to help. So, I mean, if you have some thoughts, we can throw it down. And again, it could sit like that for a while. And then when we're past, this great interruption, we can go back and
right.
Tweak it.
Right.
But I get it.
No, obviously we really understand that. Where we see the potential here is everyone has what's happened has been so unexpected, but it has made people realize we need a reset. We need to come back differently. The economy needs to be rebuilt in a different way, and one that is more sustainable and human-centered. And we think this can help New Smyrna bounce back on a stronger footing. But Jamie, obviously, really understand everyone is facing these challenges, and no more so than in Florida. So
yeah, we is just me, but I don't want to put a bunch of stuff down on paper until there's the buy-in, and it's got to be team developed, mutually developed. So I'm in a bit of a frustrating point, and I will catch up with Don. If not immediately after this call, in the next day or 2.
Okay. And Jamie, I can send you this deck if it helps to show him some of the stuff so he can kind of see. There is a lot of research out there showing that the destinations that come back more digitally connected and sustainable are going to be winning the visitor and the customer, because it is so important to reset. Right now.
Debbie, sure. Please send me that stuff. We got nothing to lose, and if he doesn't have time, he'll tell me later.
Yeah, I get it. Everybody's short-staffed, and there's a crazy world out there.
Well,
Ed,
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. What was that?
Just that, I mean, I think where we, Debbie mentioned at the beginning, we've had interest from Visit Florida, and so I think our feeling is if we can get a good number of projects connected, there's a real opportunity to use this as a way of showcasing New Smyrna as a sustainability champion, so to put then New Smyrna at the kind of forefront of the reopening process. But yeah, everyone is in crisis management mode, which makes that kind of thinking a lot harder. So we appreciate there's a real balance to find.
Thank you, both.
Ben, Alini with ITI here. I don't know if you can hear me well, but my question is about the goals and the tracking. Do usually the destinations that you worked with, do they work towards a common like yearly goal or 5-year goal that all of the organizations kind of buy into that takes, same time frame, or how does that work?
So what we've with One Planet Living generally, I mean, that there's goals per principle, and they are aligned as much as possible with what we think we need to do to avert climate, unregulated climate change and an ecological crisis. The process we went with New Smyrna was a stakeholder workshop, bringing together some key organizations to identify what it is that they think that New Smyrna needs to achieve. And then we worked afterwards to put a little bit more information on that, but with an objective of keeping it simple. So on the video, the plan was really, there's 70 or 80 indicators. It's quite complex. We want to keep this as simple as I've got here, that it's something that people can easily plug into. Generally, we encourage people to report on their progress annually, and the way things are set up is to make that as easy as possible. Beyond that, I mentioned that we can recognize leaders in One Planet Living. To be a leader in One Planet Living, then you need to be ensuring all of your outcomes are aligned with the One Planet Living goals, and that you're on track for delivering those. But to just use the platform then and be part of the initiative, it's kind of however much you want to do. There's no kind of set requirement. But yeah, I mean, we're obviously trying to encourage people to set ambitious goals and to start on a journey of implementing those.
Yeah, because there's no real certificate. What you do is get the accolade of being a leader, a future maker, by doing the plan and doing your outcomes and indicators and yearly reporting, as Ben mentioned. Alini, to your point, the goal is to get everybody to do their plan, and then with the city vision and like the Bureau and the Chamber, all the businesses and properties and attractions can then, all those goals like, reduce water consumption, everybody can be contributing to that goal, and it kind of grows, as more people come online and everything kind of gets blended together in the ecosystem. So yes, but there's no stipulation that it's a 5-year goal. It's a 1 year. It's as much as everybody wants to be aggressive with this, and if it's slowly everybody gets on board, and then we just start seeing that. I talked to the mayor yesterday, and he said he's very competitive, of course, and he wants to be the first city, and we're doing that. And he said he was really bummed out because he heard that there was a west coast of Florida city that just was like the first like retrofitted city buildings that have solar. And he said they are in talks with UCNSB, the Utility Commission, to do solar throughout the city buildings and things like that. So he's on this, and I just think the COVID thing has obviously taken everybody off the track right now. But that might be something that, you know, when practical, other people can align with it, you know, and our businesses and whatever. So, you know, those are just kind of little examples. But as we see the city growing into certain areas, we can latch onto that and do our part for it. And then the ecosystem really builds and you become a big, you know, powerhouse, so to speak, of sustainability.
And particularly for, you know, some of the small, like some of the small organizations, a lot of, and again, this is part of it, a lot of the changes that need to be made are outside of their control. So a restaurant can reduce its energy consumption, but if there's no opportunity to buy green electricity or put on solar panels, you know, we need change at the city level and at the state level. Same with transport. They can provide some bike parking, but you know, really they can't drive change in public transport. But the more organizations that are involved, then the more there's the opportunity to push those kind of infrastructure and systemic changes. I think there's the big opportunity to make smaller organizations who feel that, okay, we've done our bit, but there's no more, we can't make any more difference, to feel part of a bigger movement that is able to then drive change.
If I may just say, I think, you know, you made a very good point. I don't know if everybody can hear me, but, you know, you have to start somewhere, you know, and you have to start the process. So really, Debbie, I commend you and the team for making, you know, the leadership and making this effort. I know in our industry, tourism industry, this is always, people talk about it all the time, but nobody's putting one foot in front of the other to start making it happen. So congratulations. I know this is a challenging time, but there's a vision and it's practical, yeah. You know, and there's an infrastructure. I think that's always the most difficult part that everybody struggles with. You know, where do I start? What do I do? And you guys are providing that. So Jamie, this looks great. So it's a good thing. Congratulations, Debbie.
Thank you. Thanks for the comments. Yeah, and I think I see Lily just coming on board here from the Hampton Inn. And, you know, we'll send the deck out to everyone. And, you know, if you have any questions on this, but, you know, I'm passionate about this. I think this definitely sets us aside. Visit Florida was extremely excited about this, but they were already locked in and they had a lot of fanfare through the budget process this spring, so they didn't want to tip the apple cart over. So they'll work this into next year's budget kind of thing. But it's a good time to, you know, try to get on the plan and then be the showcase, the pilot program that goes out throughout Florida. And then, you know, I know Destinations Florida and Destination International is very interested in this. So it's just going to be a matter before it all starts spreading, you know. And so I just was hoping that, we could be the example, the gold standard, the platinum standard, you know, that everybody looks to. And for a chic coastal beach town vibe, and that we're protecting the product, and then that's less residents complaining about over tourism and everything else. It really does help all of those initiatives.
Yeah, Deb, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, the three things that I would like to say is, number one, we were in the restaurant business for a while, and being in the hotel business for many years, you hate to play fireman. And right now, everybody's putting out fires trying to keep their business running. Yes. And it does take usually the people that are left working, because so many people have been laid off. It takes more effort just to survive. So it is hard, but at the same time, on a positive side, when it's a smaller operation, I know he said he has to talk to Dawn, but even here, it's easier, I think, to get things set up when there's smaller amounts of stuff to do. And then as your business increases, it'll be easier just to add to it. I know that I'm trying to get a positive out of all this negativity in the world. And the third thing, this area is a tourist area. I have no idea what some of these people are drinking in their water in this area where they think that we don't need tourists. But every one of us, whether it's artists, restaurants, hotels, the guys selling yogurt or ice cream, all of us would never survive if we didn't have tourism. And I do know that tourists tend to like to ride bikes, enjoy the beauty that we have here. And all those things are things that we can work on even under our situation that we have. And we recommend places for our guests to go eat where we know those people are going to be taken care of and have good food. And hopefully the restaurants recommend places to stay where they know that the people that eat there are going to have a comfortable stay. We all need to work together in this. We really do.
Mhm. Good points. Good points. And they can be small steps, like you said. They don't have to be big. It could be super simple. Some things you're already doing to get the easy win and record at the end of the year the difference from when you started to the end. It doesn't have to be a lot. Like I know Lily's property, the Hampton Inn, has the card keys that go in to turn the lights on. That's an energy saver. There's a win right there. Just there's a lot of little things that you can do. Just trying to eliminate the plastic straws on property, and the stirrers and whatever else. Offering incentives if someone does a beach
Tell people
cleanup.
when they quit wearing their mask not to throw them on the ground.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Thanks for those comments, Ed. I mean, and it's just, I think the point around the need for tourism, it's. I'm my wife's half Greek, and we're in Greece, and the place is empty, and it's in a country that's reliant on tourism. What we need is to get the right type of tourism, to educate the tourists, to provide them the facilities so that they want to behave more sustainably when they're here, to have the bikes available to them, to go to the restaurants that are more responsible, and to make that easy, because they're there on holiday and they don't want to be lectured, but they do want to feel good about themselves. So how do we make this kind of part of that positive holiday experience? And I think that's what we've worked with a few tourism organizations in different ways, and that's where we've come to is how do we make that sustainability and access to nature a really positive experience that then they might want to take that home with them as well.
Right.
But obviously want to come back to New Smyrna.
That's right.
Anybody have any other questions for Ben or anybody else? Okay. Well, we will send out the deck here to everyone. And, again, if it's only 5 minutes here or there, whatever, I mean, I'm happy to help any way I can. We've gotten, I think we have 5 plans that are done, and there's like another 5 looking to come on. So, it's really not as hard as it looks. Sometimes it's just the little things, but I totally get it. We're in a whole different world right now. So just stay in touch and let me know what you're thinking, and we'll be happy to help.
Yep, thanks very much for your
Thank you.
time. Really enjoy the opportunity to
Thank
share.
you, Debbie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, all right. Well, everyone have a great day, and this too shall pass. And I'm hoping it's sooner than later. All right, cheers.
Bye.
Bye.